At night, from far enough away, the country looks asleep. 16 cities, each one waiting for something. By Sunday, these seats will be full. The largest World Cup ever held. The first hosted by 3 countries at once. More than 500 million ticket requests, FIFA says, for a tournament expected to be the most profitable in its history. 6 weeks of matches, 19 billion expected views across every screen on the planet. A number that large does something to the way a government starts to think about a room full of people. More than $1 billion combined from the federal government and FIFA. 846 million in emergency management grants alone. 220 million for systems that exist for one purpose: to take drones out of the sky. More than 400 law enforcement agencies coordinating across 16 cities in 3 countries for the same 6 weeks. The designation is reserved for events the government considers at the greatest risk of attack. Officials point to intelligence suggesting the threat to stadiums and public gatherings has been rising for months. All of it, officials say, exists to keep people safe. Safe from what exactly? Depends on who you ask and when. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a joint military operation against Iran. Within hours, Iran's supreme leader for 36 years was dead. His son was named to succeed him. Iran answered with missiles at Israel, at American bases, at oil infrastructure across the Gulf. The fighting reached further than the 2 countries that started it: Lebanon, Iraq, the Gulf states hosting American forces. Bases in Bahrain, in Qatar, were struck. Allied militaries were pulled into a defensive posture they had not chosen. For a time, nearly 20% of the world's oil supply and 1/5 of its liquefied natural gas stopped moving through the Strait of Hormuz. Shipping fell by more than 90%. Prices rose on every continent that uses fuel. Economists estimated full trade through the strait would not recover until the following year, even with a deal in place. A conditional ceasefire came in April. It held unevenly for months, while mediators worked towards something more permanent. A memorandum to formally end the conflict was signed on June 18, 2026. 3 months before the strikes began, Iran had already qualified for its 7th World Cup. Group G, Belgium, Egypt, New Zealand. Iran's own football federation did not attend the draw in Washington. The United States had denied visas to its senior officials, including the federation's president, one of the most senior figures in Asian football. Tehran called the decision, in its own words, non-sporting. The team's preparation continued anyway. As the war intensified, Iran's federation asked FIFA to move its 3 group matches out of the United States entirely. The request was denied. Their training base was moved instead, not to Arizona as originally planned, but to Tijuana, Mexico, just across the border from the stadiums where they would play. No hotel stays, no extra nights on American soil. A team commuting across an international border to compete in a tournament hosted partly by a country it had been at war with weeks earlier. For the fans, there was no such accommodation. FIFA revoked Iran's ticket allocation for its own supporters. Separately, Iran has sat for most of this year on a United States list of nations facing a full travel ban, alongside Haiti, Somalia, and several others now also represented at this World Cup. One Iranian fan living abroad told reporters he had set money aside for tickets months in advance, money he would not be able to use. In Tehran, some residents have stopped watching the national team's matches with friends at all, afraid that supporting the team on the field will be read as supporting the government that sent it to war. A team can cross a border for 90 minutes at a time. Its own supporters cannot cross at all. Above the stadiums, something else is watching. The Department of Homeland Security calls it a generational undertaking. Internally, planners describe the threats they're guarding against as, in their words, asymmetric. At Gillette Stadium, at Hard Rock Stadium, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Fans can now enter and pay with their face instead of a ticket. In some host cities, summer temperatures are expected to reach dangerous levels. Fans will not be allowed to bring their own water inside. Around each venue, the rings widen, vehicle barriers, checkpoints, restricted airspace extending out from the roofline. In Dallas and New Jersey, four-legged robots patrol the perimeter. In Mexico, more of them. Branded, marketed, photographed for press releases. Federal contracts for drone hunting interceptors that fire nets instead of bullets. Radar arrays scanning the sky above parking lots. A new command platform built with a defense contractor that fuses drone footage with GPS data in real time. At a press conference in one host city, a local sheriff was asked directly whether immigration agents would be present at the games. He said he had been told they would not be conducting enforcement at the stadiums. Federal officials gave conflicting answers on the same question in the same week. One cabinet secretary had assured a host committee that immigration agents would stay away from the venues entirely. Another said only that enforcement would, in his words, always happen. A union, representing thousands of stadium workers in Los Angeles, voted to authorize a strike over the uncertainty, citing fear, not for the fans, but for their own families. Privacy researchers have a word for tournaments like this one. They call them showcases, places where technology built for battlefields gets its first long look at a civilian crowd. Protection. Against whom, exactly? The cooperation between Washington and Tel Aviv did not begin in February, and it will not end with a ceasefire. Iron Dome, Arrow, David's Sling, systems built with billions of dollars in American funding, tested together for over 2 decades, aimed, according to both governments, at no one in particular and everyone who might ask. Even after the ceasefire, the drills continued. Joint naval exercises off Israel's coast. Officials on both sides describing them, carefully, the same way they always have. As routine, as defensive, as aimed at no specific threat. 3 capitals, 1 alliance, decades old, 1 war, paused but not resolved. And, this month, 1 tournament. Sitting on top of all of it, like nothing underneath has changed. None of this will be visible from the stands. The lines will move quickly. The cameras will do their work quietly. Most people walking through those gates will never think about where the technology came from or what it was built to do before a soccer match needed it. For 90 minutes at a time, none of it will seem to matter at all. What happens when the war and the party occupy the same place?